this down a little bit. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Ryan, for having me. That's awesome. I'm really happy to be here. It's the first reading I've done in a while. I've been sort of out of commission for a little bit. Not sleeping, that sort of thing. So it's somewhat amazing that I'm here and awake. And it's also, I'm really excited to be reading with Steve and Sean. I'm looking forward to hearing you guys read, so thanks so much for having me. I'm going to start off with a poem. It's called St. Francis in the Sow by Galway Canal. The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower, for everything flowers from within of self-blessing. Though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on its brow of the flower and retell it in words and in touch. It is lovely, until it flowers again from within of self-blessing. As St. Francis put his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and told her in words and in touch, blessings of earth on the sow, and the sow began remembering all down her thick length, from the earthen snout all the way through the fodder and slops to the spiritual curl of the tail, from the hard spininess spiked out from the spine down through the great broken heart to the sheer blue milk and dreaminess spurting and shuddering, from the 14 teats into the 14 mouths sucking and blowing beneath them the long, perfect loveliness of sow. He will be dearly missed. I'm going to start off with a couple new ones and then move on and read some from the book. This is called Wild Silk. Out in the wild, the kingdom of worms spin in silence, in separation, and live to leave behind what's become to them useless as luxury begins and again becomes. The meticulous work it took to shape a pattern out of patience wore down a continent's grasses into paths and passed through dangerous terrain for what? For something so indisputably beautiful you'd be willing to trade everything for it. You'd be willing to go to war to wear it under your armor as close as anything might get to your heart. It's hard to believe something so small, so easy to kill for even less, could produce this dress, this red mess it makes of my senses. The story about the deer. I start to tell a story about the deer emerging from the woods, but I've forgotten where it goes. Problem is, the story doesn't belong to me. I've seen only ordinary deer under boring circumstances, and not even that many, if I'm being honest. The story belongs to my friend, a term I use in the loose contemporary sense. I haven't spoken to him in 2 decades, though I've watched his daughter grow up through an onslaught of online photos. Every significant and insignificant moment of her life documented and disseminated to family and friends and colleagues and former grade school acquaintances. This faithful archiving, rendering obsolete our poor mortal memory, the long-awaited democratization of the everyday, the disruption coming at last to the once untouchable watercolors of nostalgia. But you have to admit, she is adorable. Problem is, he told the story about the deer so long ago, I've forgotten what was interesting about it. I remember only that the kids smoking cigarettes behind the dumpsters outside Clear Creek Elementary were enraptured by it. Just like these people appear to be now at this party where I've had several more glasses of wine than I had promised myself I would drink, and have started a story that has abruptly stopped, like a deer emerging from the woods. Three-poem break for a drink. So for a little bit of context, this book, which will be for sale afterwards, I should say, If you like the poems, there will be others in here that I haven't read that you might also like, so you should check that out. If you hate the poems, this works as a fantastic way to level a shaky table. So, I might suggest that. Multi-use. The Year of What Now is a book about a woman who falls suddenly ill and spends an extended period of time in the hospital while doctors try to figure out what's wrong with her. The poems are narrated by her husband. The first poem I read, it makes mention of a person named Williams, and you'll probably figure out from context clues that's William Carlos Williams. And for those in the room who don't know who William Carlos Williams is, of course he's best remembered as the inventor of the wheelbarrow. The Year of What Now? I ask your doctor of infectious disease if she's read Williams. He cured sick babies, I tell her, and begin describing spring and all. She's looking at the wall, now the floor, now your chart, now the door. Never heard of them, she says. But I can't stop explaining how important this is. I need to know your doctor believes in the tenacity of nature to endure. I'm past his heart attack, his strokes. And now, as if etching the tombstone myself, I find I can't remember the date he died, or even the year. Of what now are we the pure products? And what does that even mean, pure? Isn't it obvious? We are each our own culture, alive with the virus that's waiting to unmake us. X-ray. There you are. A shadow caught behind frosted glass. The doctor points to clouds in the night sky. There, he says, and there. And there's the airy cathedral of ribs. The hush fluster of unseen trespassers nesting in the rafters. Row after row of empty pews, and there's you, alone, before your own dark altar, straining to make out what's right in front of you. By now, asleep, your fingers twitch in syncopated rhythm to a dream, flex and relax. They grasp at something I can't see, something you can't quite hold. It kills me to know this is only one of a million things I never noticed. When I loved you too easily. When time was a glass of water the waiter refilled without even asking me. I was too busy with sleep to see you had already boarded the train that was taking you away. One hand waving, the other reaching for what I was already too far away by now to see. They run you. To get the horse to do what you want it to do, you practically have to kill it first. I guess that's what they're doing to you. They want your body to respond the way their manual says it should. They run you ragged all day long until the dust coats your lungs, until you wheeze when you try to breathe. And your iron black eyes stare off into a distance you're sure you don't have the heart to go. You can feel everything inside you breaking. Come on, girl. Faster. Yeah, that's it. Faster. So one thing I like to do is make up jokes, my own jokes. My wife can attest that they are hilarious. So I really was working hard to work in a joke that I made up into this book. So when it finally came to me, I felt like I'd hit gold because it's really one of my best. I feel very proud about it. So I just wanted to give you a heads up and to pat myself on the back that there's a really funny joke coming. So you might not want to be up drinking anything because you might spit it out. It could happen. I should get mine out of the way. This is called You're Supposed to Laugh. A nun sits outside the church, naked and smoking. The priest comes up and says, "What in God's name is going on here?" "Sorry," the nun says. "Dirty habit." There's more. "Sorry," the nun says, "Dirty habit. I watch your face for signs of life. Nothing. Not even a smirk. Once a registered sucker for Catholic humor. Since the illness, you're impervious to any emotion closely associated with joy. You're supposed to laugh," I say. "Remember laughter?" Evidently you do not. Or you're still thinking about it. Or you'd like me to shut the fuck up and leave you alone, which is all you've said all day. An ad for a new reality show ends. The 10 o'clock news resumes. The man singing the blues resumes. The animals boarding the leaky boat in twos resumes. The woman who came to believe she had nothing left to lose resumes. And how should she resume? And how should she begin? Here's your standard 2-poem warning. I have 2 poems left. Physical therapy. "Please," you say, "don't look at me. I'm disgusting." Emaciated by the treatments, you swear they gave you the wrong body to bring home. Here's something you'd like to know. Who is this woman wearing your clothes? They don't even fit her. Look at her. She's a complete mess. Lays in bed all day. It's pathetic. "Get up!" you scream. "Get up." "Come on," I say, "that's enough. She needs to rest." "Bullshit," you say, and grab her arm, pull her to her feet. "Walk," you demand, but she can't. You shove her a little too hard and she pitches forward like a wave towards the shore and shatters across the floor. Now look what you've done. Carefully, I piece her back together from memory. Everything, every time. In a different version of this, I'm the one sitting up in bed while the nurse says deep breaths, listens to my lung through the cold antenna of her stethoscope. You're the one sitting in a chair in the corner with a half-hearted smile plastered to your face. In a different version of this, we're both in bed, hunched over while 2 nurses, sisters actually, listen to our lungs. Your husband and my wife sit in the corners of the room, both of them completely useless. In a different version of this, I'm in a chair in the corner while my sister sits up in bed. You're the nurse who listens to my sister breathing. You glance at me for an instant and return my uncertain smile. In a different version of this, I sit up abruptly in bed. I'm breathing deeply. You put your hand on my back and say, "Go back to sleep. You're fine. Everything's fine." Thanks.